Well, we removed the fixed ports out of the galley and the walkthrough. These are the Gulfstar original fixed ports. They're aluminum framed. It's actually glass. It's not Lexan. There's some screws that go right through here into a plate, as well as over here into a plate. And the lower half of this frame separates from the upper half, is what I think. Alright, as you can see, we were able to separate these, and basically did it by grasping one hand here and the other here and pulling these apart like this, and doing it with even pressure on both sides. So you can see the frame is now separated from the glass on the bottom, and it looks like a little small U-channel that was sitting up along here. It's got a couple of ridges, likely to try and put pressure into the slot. I'll take this whole thing apart and see how ultimately I want to try and put it back together. But if you look at it from the end, you can kind of see it's got a slight lip right here, goes across the bottom, and then along this side is the interior of the window. The glass is out and clean. Still need to run a little acetone or mineral spirits along the edge. What I've done is I have the two pieces of aluminum frame here, and I'm using this wire wheel in a lathe. That you could use it on a drill if you wanted. It just makes it a little easier for me, like a grinder. And what I'm doing is I'm just running this through to clean up some of the caulk and garbage that was in there. So I'll show you how I'm doing this. Just kind of running this wheel in here and getting it real clean inside of all these channels. You can kind of see here. Running it along there. And then the nice thing about this is aluminum is a real soft metal, so there's spots where I was able to run the spots where it looked like it, for example, had a crack in it. I was able to run the wire brush on it just enough to get rid of those scratches, and when I polish that out, it should look brand new. Using the wire wheel to clean off the caulk right there, and or the sealant that was there, and you see this line here. There was one here. As we buff that out, we probably won't even see it much. So that looks good. After using the wire wheel, now I just want to clean it up real well. I've got 400 grit sandpaper on here, and I'm just going through and getting some of the heavy residue off of here. 400 grit's not going to take too much of it away. It's not going to put any deep scratches in it. As a matter of fact, the scratches will be less than the wire wheel was. But this gives me a good place to, a good foundation to start the buffing on when I get ready to do that. Now I'm going to come in with some 800 grit. Just to, again, get the scratches out from the last one I just did. And this will just be a real quick run across all of it. Okay, I have a cotton wheel on here. And what I'm going to use is, this stuff is called Tripoli. There's a couple different, there's Tripoli and White Diamond. The Tripoli is a little coarser grind. What you're really doing with this buffing wheel is you really are grinding the surface slightly. So I'm going to apply the Tripoli first on this particular buff pad. When I get done doing the whole thing, I'll then turn around and do the Tripoli on here, which should give it a finer cut and a real smooth finish. So with this, we'll go ahead and get started. To apply this, you really just lightly run this on here until you start to see some color on there, and that's going to be the agent that's going to help me to do the buffing. And as you can see what this looks like now, we'll give it a shot and see how she starts to look. Up to about 3,000 RPMs or so. You want the friction heat to start working on it a bit. It's really just gentle pressure. I'm not wanting to really use this like a sanding disc. All right, I'm putting on a medium cut wheel just to see if I can get a couple of these spots worked out where it's still a little scratched. Again, I'm using the white mild cut. Okay, I've replaced the other wheel with the Tripoli coarse grind on it with slightly bigger wheel. Again, this is going to be a high buff one. You notice it's not sewn all the way out to the edges, so it's pretty loose out here. So we're going to get this turned on, and again we use the white cut instead, and just like before, you can tell a new wheel it throws some dust off of it. Well, here is the frames after they've been wire brushed clean, sanded with 400 and 800 grit, or 400 and 600, I don't recall now, and then buffed with a series of buffing wheels with the brown lubricant called Tripoli, and then the white, I think it's called White Lightning, I don't recall, it's a milder one, and then just a buff wheel. Quite frankly, there's a little lip right here, and you can see where it's not as shiny on the inside of that. It's here, it drops down a little bit into this lip. Not quite as shiny there, so it's very difficult to get the buffing wheel just into that section. Somebody who has some buffing experience could probably have done that a lot better, actually, but I am thrilled with this. It's 15 times better than it looked before.